Morning and welcome to Saturday, April 15th call. I was guided today to share a series of, I think it's maybe 3 questions with all of you today. And the first question is to think about some of the things that you still might be tolerating in your life. And it doesn't necessarily have to be people, but it can be people. But situations, maybe beliefs, our Groundhog Days, our environment, outcomes, things that you maybe want a different outcome, but you're not sure how to, have that outcome. That would also be considered something that we were tolerating, right? And a lot of times the transformation won't happen until we really look at the decisions that we're making or have made. We have the outcome right now, and then we still continue to tolerate that particular, outcome. And that can be something like, are we tolerating mediocrity in situations? Are we tolerating, like I said, relationships? The first time I did this, I realized I was tolerating a messy bedroom and a messy car. Sometimes I realize I'm tolerating a messy house. And so things that it's kind of the list. It goes things that you don't want or that are happening. So it can be anything, a situation. And you just ask yourself, write down as these are the things that I'm tolerating. Now we're using different words because when you start to see there'll be a thread or a few threads of the things that you're tolerating. And they can give you the opportunity, if you want to move into a place or space where you're no longer tolerating. So it becomes a choice, a decision, which is very, very powerful because you can make the decision to tolerate something, but it's a very empowered feeling versus being the victim, I guess, or coming across like we're the victim of a situation, of a thing. So that was the first question. And the second question I was guided to ask you is what areas of your life are you trying to control? Right? So you're trying to control the outcome of what? And this is a great exercise because you can be able to see some different patterns that emerge as well. And when I did this, I realized that I was trying to control growth, right? I wanted all this growth, in all levels. So growth meaning kind of like a macro thing, vision. But I realized that I was tolerating trying to control the growth. And so whatever we're trying to control is because we are afraid. There's fear below that. And then below that, there would be like the lack of faith, right? That the thing can't be done. But if we rely on our own personality, right, on the ego, the id, the I, then it makes it less likely that it'll be done not in our way. Words are hard. English, please. We have this sense of fear because we really want to control the outcome. So it's really about the faith of it, right? The surrender into it. And so in order for that to happen, we'll go back to giving control, air quoting, right, up to divine, but even deeper than that, realizing that this desire for control or the thought process that we have control is the illusion. And that's what kind of keeps us tolerating things and keeps us this space and place of maybe even stuck or not the growth that we want. So if we can surrender into this, we realize that we are divine and that the desires that we have are placed there through our relationship with divine. So again, we go back to the ways and means of that can happen, the surrender piece into it. And if surrender is, not your word, of course, pick a word that works for you. So it's really about letting divine lead and allowing our physical body to be of service to divine, right? Because we need the action, we need the inspired action for the thing to unfold. And so when the piece about control is when we try to control something, that's more difficult to transform because we can't see the steps for transformation because we're trying to control the outcome. Where if we just kind of release the reins, then the ways and means, which were already there beforehand, we can see it. So it's not that the ways and means to have this happen weren't there. It's just that we can't see it when we're holding so tightly onto the thing and trying to control the outcome. Because we'll go back to this original idea. The idea came from source, right? It's the desire. But our mind, our conscious mind, and a little of the unconscious mind, I think, are trying to no, don't, right? Don't follow that dream, right? What would happen if you actually received everything that you desired? Anarchy, right? There's a part of us that believes that, so like the waiting for the other shoe to drop, or anarchy will happen, or oh my goodness, if everyone got what they decided to wanted to created, manifested, the feeling and the thoughts are the net, everything will move into chaos. And so the enemy, when we talk lots of, in biblical terms, right? The enemy is actually the mind. And the mind is the enemy because we need both. We need both our intuition, we need the logical side, we have the subconscious or the unconscious, we have the conscious. Everything is created as a whole. So it's not as if we don't want, for example, the ego, right? We need the ego. We need that component, but it's about, I think, the creation of the harmony and just being in awareness. Hey, I have this desire and it's been there for a while and I seem to have a Groundhog Day, right? was talking to just a new person yesterday, someone newer in my life. And we were talking about control, actually. It was an interesting conversation we were having. And she said, if these people, right, in her life would just like do what she wanted, then everything would be fine. And, and then I said to her, but you can't control other people. And if your happiness is based on the like other people, then that's a difficult thing to maintain because there is no control of others. The only thing we do have control over is our conscious thoughts, our conscious mind. And so then as her and I were talking, because she had not heard that before. And so we were having this deep conversation about, just allowing, people to show up as they do, not unless you're in danger, right? But not trying to control everything, right? Because so the other piece of the control is it expends tons of energy. Like you're using so much of your creative forces, your creative juices to keep things in control. And if you could allow yourself the opportunity to just ease into, to let go, right? So the 12-step program is like let go and let God, right? And so meaning stop holding on so tightly. But we hold on tightly because of the illusion of safety and security. And the illusion that safety and security is from outside of us. Right? So money, it doesn't give us safety and security, or being in a relationship doesn't give us safety or security, but we're programmed, right, that way. So we come into this world right, with all these programming, and then we get into the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and above, and we have to basically almost deconstruct everything so we can restruct it. So it sometimes for me it's felt like it takes forever, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, like the domino effect, right? It all falls into place, and then you can watch those different pieces unfold. And so going back to this piece of this woman and I were talking about, she was asking, why is she being punished with all of these lessons? And so then we talked a little bit about why it feels like a punishment for her and what's the opportunity, right? So I think sometimes I certainly forget that not everybody lives in the world that I, was fortunate enough to live in, when growing up and with the 12 steps, and just getting into spiritual development and personal development at such a young age, that there are so many people still that think a little bit differently. And so I think the next message as I'm receiving it is, it's okay that you think differently. And there at different times, my experience has been that I've had certain people like come into my life and certain people that leave, right? Every time I do an up leveling of my development, but the people who are meant to still be there, kind of waft in and waft out. That's kind of been my experience. And so what I'm receiving is to not be afraid. Like, it's okay. And because you uh, collect, because you're sorry, I have not used that word with relationships, but okay. It's because there'll be a new collection of friends that will come into your world. So kind of wrapping this up a little bit earlier today, right? Right, Karen, collect. I'm like, all right then. So wrapping this up today is that reminding us that the original ideas that we have, right, the desires come from source. So when it's a desire and it comes from a source, we just have the faith that the ways and means for that will unfold, and to let go of the control. So let go of the how, right? Let go of needing to know the how right away. Let go of what that looks like, and just be open to receiving the messages that you can all receive about what those next steps are. And when you're making decisions, to take a moment and ground yourself, because you're wanting to check in to see if this is a head, heart, gut decision versus just a head decision, or just a heart decision, or I guess just a gut decision. That we're meant to start really accessing the meridian of the heart, head, heart, gut, because there is an actual like meridian that runs through, and now we're meant to really activate that, and we've not activated it or accessed it as a triune, right? And so that three energy, or the triune energy, right, which is often represented as a triangle, or you'll see it in different geometric symbols like a Merkaba, things like that, is a very, very powerful energy. And so chances are you're going to start seeing more of that triangle energy, the more of the triune energy, as symbolism, and as just the reminder as you're making these decisions to kind of do this check-in. That's what's being shared with me today. And so they want me to remind you that to ask yourself the questions, right? What are you still tolerating, and what areas of growth are you trying to maybe slow down? What areas are you trying to control of that growth piece? And then what are you afraid of? And be as specific and clear as you possibly can in different scenarios. Because what can happen is we can say that we want something, but then there's a part of us that has questions, right? Both the unconscious and conscious has yeah buts that aren't addressed. And so it's important we don't ignore the yeah buts, right? We can look at them for what they are and rewrite our script, right? We can always rewrite the script. So we can hear the yeah but and then rewrite whatever script that is. Because remember, our brains don't know the difference between what like the truth is, like or not. It's created a neural pathway. So we can go back into if it's a past thing, we can go back into the past thing and rewrite it in a way that we want. Or we can go into the present and think about what we're thinking about in the future and write that as if we're living it now, right? In that first person, right? Eyes. And then just keep on hearing this word, just let go, let go, surrender. But the word actually surrender is my word. The word is actually let go. So I'm not sure who that's for, but all right, I'm just going to take a pause here. I'm being guided to stop the recording.